Hello and welcome to Creative View Podcast. I'm located in Pennsylvania. We're in beautiful fall weather. It's been warm today, but we've had some cold weather. We've been getting frost, and I know that because I am walking the dog every morning. Yes, I got a new dog. For any viewers, this is a knitting and crocheting podcast, and I'm going to show both knitting and crocheting today. So I went with a senior dog. It was a big decision. He's just a beautiful boy, and he's old, he's white, I'm sure he's been abused. He can be real stubborn though too. If I'm out walking him and he doesn't want to do something, he can buck like a bronco and get out of that color. My husband says a lot of this probably just comes from survival, and let me show you his picture here. Not Harley. We decided to go with Hartley. I asked my little grandson, if we get this dog, what do you think we should name him? And he said, Hart. Well, don't ask a child their opinion if you don't want to take it. So there's my boy. And as you can see, he has a very worried look on his face the first day he came. He slept all day. He didn't really interact with us. And he probably didn't know, am I going to stay? Am I just here for the afternoon? Here's him later. Much more relaxed and peaceful look. And my grandson comes over in the morning, and they're good friends. So a lady came into the shop and she suggested Good Old Tales. They take in older cats and dogs, and I thought that he would be a yarn shop dog. He's not going to be a yarn shop dog. I've tried it a couple times. He wants to spray the yarn, spray the shells. I'm not sure, why. I really haven't had a male dog since I was young. And then I had a whole bunch of little kids, and I was not out walking the dog. I didn't know that dogs stop 12 times a block to lift their legs and pee. How do they even have that much pee in their bladder? But somehow, I thought maybe this is just the first day. He really didn't want to take a walk. But what does being on a leash represent? If he was chained, and that's why he's so stiff and bow-legged, when he goes to lay down, he has to actually work on it to figure out how to get down. Little by little, he's trusting us and showing us his personality. He's actually quite comical. I couldn't sleep the other night. And he has an itching problem. His fur was really poor. He had like flaky skin. We started giving him an egg a day, and his skin has gotten shiny. But he just scratches. He just has this horrible itching problem. And I hate it because I can't do anything, and he'll start crying. We've never heard him bark, but he'll start whimpering. And so I was telling my husband the next day I couldn't take it anymore, listening to him and watching him scratch his crotch area. And I came up to bed and I lay beside my husband. I see my husband scrunch up his face and do the same thing the dog is doing. I've never been surrounded by males in the family. We've always had female dogs, female pets. We have a male cat that belongs to my granddaughter that's staying at our house. And I'm telling my husband this the last day, and he's laughing. And the dog's tail is thumping in rhythm to our laughter. And I thought, oh, he's trying to join in and laugh. And another time I was in the kitchen hugging my husband, and Hartley came in between us. Like, I want to be part of this. So I thought, how am I going to name him Hart? Because I didn't really want to name him Hart. We were watching one of these flaky Christmas movies where somebody falls in love in 2 days, and they were driving from the I guess, New York to California, and they end up in West Virginia. Now my husband said, what? But anyway, they were at a bar and there was this guy named Harley. And I said, well, Harley. And my husband says, yeah, I can see myself calling the dog to come in. Harley, Harley. So we went with Hartley. My husband's middle name is Lee. We just went with Hartley. And they say if you want to give a dog a new name, say his old name, which was Pappy, and then put Hartley behind it. And the first day I took him for a walk, we were a block down, and I heard somebody call, Pappy! And I'm thinking, who knows him? Well, it turns out our neighbor that I can see from my backyard, she was doing foster care for good old dogs with a dog named Mabel. And so we stopped in and met her dog. She has a big muscular dog. And the next time I tried to stop in there, Hartley wasn't having it. No, we're not going in there. So anyway, I'm happy. He's changing me. It's amazing how you add a pet and they change you dramatically. I used to come home from work and I would go lay on the bed with my heating pad because my fibromyalgia and I'm hurting. Well, then sometimes you fall asleep and you wake up and you're hurting more. I've been staying out of the bedroom because he's happy when I come home and he wants to see me. So I don't want to leave the room. He can't get up the stairs. He has to be lifted into the car, which the first day I brought him to the yarn shop, he seemed really happy. The second day when he saw that we were getting in the car, he started walking backwards to the house. But you know, he came from South Carolina. So imagine being put in a truck with all these other animals for a 12-hour ride. I can see that he doesn't want to get into a vehicle. So trying to figure out how to help him, I was listening to all these different pet videos about how to help your pet. Some of the food is really, really expensive. So I found one called NutriThrive. I don't know if any of you have any experience with this, but the vet, he said that when he was in veterinary school in, I think, California, they had a horse that was very, very ill, and they tried everything, and the horse was dying. And the owner called in a Chinese doctor who brought with him thousands of years of herbal medications and everything, herbal remedies, I should say. They didn't have a lot of faith in him, but he mixed up all these different herbs into a concoction, and they put a tube down the horse's into his stomach every day and fed him, and the results were amazing. And within 1 week, he was back home in good shape. So I ordered some. It's a powder that you put onto the food. And what this vet said is that dog food, pet food, has the minimum in it, which doesn't even take into account omega-3s, probiotics, and all the other things your dogs need. They just have minimum. It's not good. So I'm wondering, you know how you get your confirmation email and it always says, do not reply to this email? It said, please reply. We would like to hear about your dog. So I did. And I think all the problems the dog has, I have. Could I use this? Do they have a formula like this for people to rejuvenate us, get rid of our aches and pains, help our skin to be healthier? Interesting. So I want to show you some of the things that I've been doing. When I got into the yarn business, I don't think I realized how fad-driven it is, and I think that goes with the personality of women. If a group of women come into the shop, oftentimes they will buy the same pattern, the same yarn. That's just who we are. Instead of being competitive, we like to be the same. So I have a lot of older books and magazines, and it's interesting because every time I cycle through these books, I find something different that I liked, and I find that I no longer like the things I tag, but now I like this. And the fashions seem to come full circle and come back in. So I think I'm going to start with crocheting. I was going to try to do 2 separate podcasts, crocheting and then knitting. It's just not going to work. I just can't do it. It's already late here. It's getting dark. If you can see that window, you see it's black. That's pointing to the outside. So I started a baby blanket out of a Leisure Art magazine, and it's been neglected for Christmas knitting, so this is about as far as I am. I have the James Brett Marble DK and the Year-Old Baby Babe 100, which is like a sport DK weight. So that is probably going to have to wait until after Christmas. I had this pattern for a long time. I bought it. It's called Snow Bell Trapper Hat, and it's by Kalara Hudson. I have done, I don't think you're going to be able to see that very well, but it looks like kind of a lacy hat with flaps. Well, I laugh when customers come into the shop and they don't follow the pattern because they think they know better than the pattern. So when it got time to do my ear flaps, I decided that this hat was going to be way too short. I needed to come down lower. And when I put the flaps on, they were hanging down here and I looked ridiculous. This was done with a retired yarn called Silky Flam, and it is super soft. And I'd like to make some more and maybe try the ear flap and the, but it was good. It was fun. I've also been doing some ear warmers and headbands, and I did a neck piece called Petite Scarf by Lion Brand. I did this in Miski, which is a baby llama, and it just goes around your neck. And I think that a brooch or a pin or something sparkly really makes it, although this may not be the right color or the right brooch. It was a fun pattern. That's a worsted weight yarn, and I added some sequins yarn. I don't know if you can, they are actually the same color as the yarn, and I would do this pattern again. I definitely plan on wearing it. It's just a simple double crochet and then some scallops at the top. You could put a button on if you wanted to. Petite Scarf by Lion Brand. And then for some, this was a very nice pattern. It's a free pattern. It's called Winter Tide, all one word. I think headband by Alina Hunt. I think if you have a pretty button or something, it really shows it up better. I did a couple of these. I did one in a worsted weight red yarn with some like Christmassy type yarn. They'd be cute for babies and children too. So that was those. And I talked the last time about marrying yarns, and by marrying yarns I don't mean like a stripe of one and then a stripe of another. When you get married, you both change. I forget who I was listening to, and they said when their friend got married, he just became so differently. You tend to marry maybe an opposite, and you start influencing each other. The impulsive one becomes more practical. The practical one becomes more spontaneous. And the miracle of marriage is that God makes you one. When you put two yarns together, it's really, really hard to get them apart if you decide to rip it out. I had this yarn called Ruffles. It's kind of an unattractive yarn, and I put this red yarn in with it. You can see all the little, and it truly did make a different product. This is just garter stitch, or you could do single crochet, and I put a fancy button. And then I was experimenting with two different yarns. I think the last time I showed you Queensland Perth. So I decided to choose this purple grayish with a blue. It's really a striping yarn. It has colors of blue. It has some light purple. They're both fingering weight yarns. And I found this pattern leaflet called Scarves and Hats, and I am doing this one. Tell you the truth, on the leaflet, it didn't look that interesting. It's actually very fun, and because you have to buy the leaflet, I can't give it away. But I always say, if you're going to put two yarns together, don't judge it in the beginning, because you may not like it. The quirky thing about the bottom of this scarf is look how it's curling. That is curling in, that is curling around. I guess I'll have to tassel it or something, but I really like what's happening. Now I don't know if I want to make it long or I want to unite it and make a cow. Now the question is, do you want to do traditional, just join it, or do you want to do something a little bit off and join it on the edge? There is a pattern called Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am, Wham Bam Thank You Lamb, and it's a free pattern, and what she did is made a rectangle and she sewed them together like that, and it's actually fun. You need that down the back of your neck for warmth, and then this can be turned over. You can make a little, it's just clever. It's easy to knit. It's done on big needles with super bulky yarn. Wham Bam Thank You Lamb. And so I decided to marry those two. Now I also took these two Euro Baby called Babe Jazz yarns. They're both like a sport weight. You could do socks with them. And I found a pattern for a scarf, and I just put it on. How it's going to look, I don't know. But it seems like an awfully wide scarf. So I have to decide, do I want to, now that I'm early into it, tear it down, do it smaller? I think I should, because I can't picture, unless you're doing a big wide cow with a button, I don't know why I would want to do it that big. This, a beautiful thing that is so nice and warm, is called Turkish Stone Cow. It is by Amy Loberg, L-O-B-E-R-G. You know, if I made another one, I might make it a little shorter to bring it up here, but I tend to be short. It all just depends, but yeah, I might do that. It's well written. It's a fun pattern. It has texture in it. I did it with a Rucania. I think this is Tiazza de Fugo, and it's 100% wool. It's a super bulky. I've shown it before. It comes in really bright colors, and then I put with it sequins yarn, and I think you can see my little green sequins sparkling. This is so nice and warm on my neck. I don't want to take it off. It does have fringes, and doing this was so fun. I'm now doing a pattern called Arika, A-R-I-K-A. I could have gotten away with one skein except for the tassels. So now I have enough left to do something else. My husband, as he's gotten older, is always cold, And I told him, you should try a neck warmer. They keep you so nice and warm, you won't want to take it off at the end of the day. So he tried one on. He said, Catherine, I'm not wearing this around the house. Okay, whatever, right? Whatever. A lot of you are familiar with the tin can knits pattern called Barley, where you do a combination between garter stitch and stockinette. This is You're a Baby Maypole, which is a polyester chunky yarn, but it also comes in a DK. You get these really pretty colors and stripes, and honestly, it feels like it might be warm. I am knitting a dog sweater, and I was on Facebook, and I saw that this person was selling dog sweaters for little dogs. And honestly, they look like yarns that you would get for $3 or $4, and people were bidding $40. And I just feel like we have a responsibility to tell people if there's wool in the yarn or not. Is this going to keep the little dog warm or not? Because when you start putting cotton and acrylics on, they don't keep you warm. And if it's raining or sleeting or snowing, they don't keep you dry. This is called Feathered, I think just Feathered Hat by Flock Fiber Studio. I did this with Ella Ray Cozy Soft print, and the colors change pretty quickly, and you really have to work on a pattern that brings out the colors and doesn't make it look just busy. So I think I should probably take this color and the solid now and do a pom-pom. It was a fun hat. It calls for a worsted weight, but I did a DK weight, so I had to put more stitches on. So for those of you with chronic pain or illness, my little grandson, who absolutely has fibromyalgia too, he's always saying my neck hurts, my head hurts, my stomach hurts, my legs are tired. And one day he was outside with his brother Nolan, and all of a sudden he said, I think I'm going to throw up. So we ran inside, and he said, no, I'm okay. And I said, let's just come in, we'll read some books. And he goes, Grandma, it's just my body. And back out he went. I thought, I'm going to have to remember that. It's just my body, right? It's just my body. Oh, that's just my body. Oh, out of the mouth of babes, right? We go down to our family room and we have electronic darts, and he likes to play. He stands on a little stool, and do you know, my husband and I cannot beat him. He throws that dart so powerful. And he's learning to, we can't beat him. And the other day, he needed a 13 to win, and his first try, he nailed that 13. He's jumping up and down. Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I did it on my first try. I'm so happy. I think I'll cry. It was really cute. So now my husband and I play in the evening. We're trying to practice and get better. And the amazing thing is, I win 3 out of 3. I thought my husband was really athletic and he was just gonna cream me, but no. I said to him last night, you're not letting me win, are you? And he's like, no. So we'll see. I was looking for a Christmas movie the day that the dog was scheduled to come. I was, like I told you, I was just really nervous about getting this dog, and it surprised me. What if he doesn't like us? What if, opening your heart up to another dog, wanting the dog that you had, and I just felt like God was telling me, watch a Christmas movie. So you have all these options. And I chose a movie called Merry Christmas Baby. And it's all African American actors. And that movie had so much personal growth for each character that it made some of the Christmas movies that are mass produced look pretty flimsy and superficial. And a young couple had a baby, and it was the baby's first Christmas. And the mother wanted to do this up and have just like a petting zoo and like a carnival, and everybody kept thinking she was obsessive, but each character had their own obstacles to overcome. Her husband really missed his mom at Christmas. He was dealing with that. There was an older couple who found out their daughter and family were not going to make it home for Christmas. And the older woman got involved with this preteen girl at an orphanage or a facility. And she started to say to her husband, maybe we should adopt her. And the husband's like, no way. We're retired. This is our time and all. Anyway, things come full circle. And when they tell her that we'd like to make you part of our family permanently, she runs off crying. And they misinterpret it to think she doesn't want us. She doesn't, maybe we're too old. And when they talked to her, she said, I really miss my grandmother. It's just really hard to put your heart out there again and open up to someone new. Ditto. That's what God wanted me to hear. Because once I heard that, I was fine. I really was. And Megan from Good Old Tales, who brought Hartley, I had a big sign on the door that said, welcome home, Hartley. And I kind of drew him. And she said, oh, that brought tears to my eyes. Oh, this is the dog sweater, not for him because he's a bigger dog. But this is the dog sweater that I'm working on. And I may have left it at home because I couldn't find it. But it's 2 strands of worsted weight wool. And it's going to knit up really quickly. And she did 3 colors. But, you know, we'll see. I'll show it to you when I'm finished. It's Interweave Summer 2007. So I was kind of surprised to find a dog's winter sweater in a summer magazine. I've looked at this magazine before and I passed over it. If anybody wants to purchase this, I have 5 copies maybe. So give me a call here at the shop. And remember, I'm the Creative You in Pennsylvania. All right, what else do I have? This is, I finally decided I can't just keep downloading patterns when I have all these books. So this is a pattern out of a Knit Simple book. It's called Leaf Hat and Mittens. I have the leaf hat done, not the mittens. It has 4 columns of leaves around the hat. This is Ella Rae Lace Merino Chunky. It's a hand painted yarn. It feels great. It's nice and squishy and soft, and the colors are just beautiful. Really is pretty. So I can't wait to do the mittens. Back to crochet. If my crocheters haven't abandoned me. A woman came into the shop and said, my grandmother made this and the dog got it, and I'd like to know if you can fix it. So these go on the bottom. The Santa Claus fits over a whiskey bottle. And this is this is what she gave me. Pieces. Look at this thing. Look at that. So here's his belt, and it has 2 little plastic rings on it. Well, I thought that I was supposed to start from scratch. So I started to do it out of very similar to this. And when she stopped in, she said, well, his head isn't going to match what you're doing. So one day I got a message from her saying, look what I found. And she found the pattern on, it's like Vintage Treasures website. So now I have a pattern, and now I'm going to town on it. And my little grandson, when we play games and he beats me and I say, look at this boy going to town. Then he'll say, Grandma, look at me going uptown. These are two yarns. I don't even remember what they were. I think one is like a llama and the other is a furry yarn. And I decided to do like 2 rows with one and 2 rows with the other. So I'm doing 2 rows of garter stitch, and then I'm doing some yarn over knit 2 togethers. And it is a wide scarf, so I could go on and on and on, or I think maybe I'd just like to seam it together and make a nice winter cowl. So what about all of you? What are you knitting, and are you doing holiday knitting? I'd really like to hear what you're making and what you're interested in. People always pick on me because I have a lot of things on the needles, but a lot of people come in and they want ideas. And so I have a lot of things laying around the shop started. This is a Plymouth yarn, Peruvia Quick. It has teal and like almost like an army green. And we have these books at the shop. And this is the scarf that I found. It's a different pattern. I've never seen anything quite like it. And I just started it. And can you see that neat little kind of curvy lace pattern in it? It's pretty neat. So, you know, if I can get a couple inches done a day on each thing that people come in and they can see, oh, that might be something that I want to do. So there was a man that came in here to show me a point of sale system. And he said in a yarn shop, there are 4 types of customers. There's the bargain shopper, and they go right for the bargains. There is the project shopper. They have their project with them and they just want to get the yarn. There is the quality shopper, and they will pay more for what they buy, but they want quality. And the 4th one is, I need inspiration. I want to make something, but I don't know what I want to do. So which kind of yarn shopper are you? Oh, I think I was probably the bargain shopper, but I think as I've grown and changed, I think I'm probably more of a quality shopper now, because I think you can get a lot of bargain things, or you can get one quality product and have something that 50, 60 years from now, it's still in fabulous shape. So, I told you that I was doing science experiments with my grandson. So we finally did the Mentos Pepsi thing. And they tell you diet soda works better. And it also tells you you might want to put a funnel in the Pepsi bottle. And that it can make quite a mess. It can go up like 30 feet. So I didn't have a funnel that had a wide enough mouth. So we went outside and we had the Mentos. We opened up the soda bottle, 2-liter bottle. And as soon as we put the first Mento in, it started fizzing over. We couldn't get the other Mentos in because it's all fizzing over. So that experiment was not a success. So my husband took a funnel that he uses to change the oil and cut off the top. So we're going to repeat it, and we're going to use the funnel. So yeah, if you're not doing science experiments with your grandkids and children, it's so fun. The one we did with the clear ginger ale and the raisins and the carbon dioxide bubbles make the raisins almost dance. They go up to the top and the bottom. Really, really fun. And most of these things are just things you have around the house. So, is there anything else I want to share or tell you? I don't think so. The yarn giveaway for the next time, you just have to be a subscriber, is Juniper Moon Dromedary in this beautiful slate blue color. Just be a subscriber. And the winner for last time is Susan Benson. So you have to private message me. People are not claiming these prizes. Excuse me 1 minute. So this is the prize from the last time. Susan Benson, please private message me. I really, really appreciate all the subscribers and everything and all the comments, and I really enjoy it. And back to crocheters, I'm teaching two sisters to crochet, and they're really doing well. And Patty Knight from California said, well, tell them about Jonah Hands. Jonah Hands, Hands. I went on Instagram. This child is quite the entrepreneur. He has 212,000 followers, and he crochets so fast it's shocking. And he'll tell you, this took me 44 minutes. This took me 26 minutes. Oh my goodness. One more thing I want to show you. Excuse my bending over and excuse the mess here. I think I just excuse my big fat thumb there. I think I just messed up where my iPad was sitting. So, oh well. You know there's a knitting pattern called Saroyan, Sarooyan. It was named after a character in a TV drama, and it's usually done on thin yarn, but I am doing it in a thick yarn. And look at this beautiful thing. This is a yarn that was discontinued called Dahlia. And when you own a yarn shop, you end up with a lot of discontinued yarn sometimes. I always love this yarn because it reminds me of watercolors. And it is a chunky yarn. And so I think this is going to be so cozy and warm. Now, anytime you change stitches, it can be heavier. I'm not heavier. The stitches are different sizes, so I notice that it wants to turn in. I'm hoping that blocking changes up. But I wanted to show you that before I closed and encourage you to enjoy the upcoming season heading into the holidays. And when I come back, I'll have hopefully a lot of these things finished. And so, you know, a lot of you write to me. Some of you are just having a great life, and some of you are having just horrific issues. And just know that you're not alone. I'm with you. There's other people that love you. And I know the holidays can be rough for people. There's an increase in suicide. And reach out to someone. And before I gave my life to God, I knew happiness. And happiness is based on circumstances. But after you surrender your life to God, you have joy. And that's different because that comes from Him. He pours it into your soul. And no matter what happens, you have that joy. And Nehemiah 3:10 tells you, the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's your strength, that no matter what, you have that joy in Him. You know, in Israel, they're advertising about the coming Messiah. They know that we are in the end times. And I would be a terrible person if I didn't tell you this wonderful news that Jesus died for your sins and he wants you to be his child. So I love all of you. Thank you for your support. Hang in there. You can call me, you can write to me, you can call me here at the shop. And I said when I opened, I wanted this to be more than a yarn shop, and I do. I want it to be more than a yarn shop. So shine, baby, shine. And if anybody wants to donate any warm items for women getting chemotherapy and they're always cold, please send them here to my shop at 11 North 5th Street, McSherrystown, Pennsylvania, 17331. Take care and shine, baby, shine. Signing out.